guys experimenting maybe using three corners together at times? I know it's kind of splitting hairs because your slot corner or slot safety is basically a corner, but three true corners at a time. Are you guys considering using that more this year?
We look at what that guy has to do, right, in terms of how it fits to our opponents and everything that position has to do, and we think a corner can do it. We think it's not a place where you really have to be, a hard, tough run defender, and we can involve our corners there more, and we think that'll give us more depth as the season goes along. We didn't have a lot of depth at the nickel position last year when Cam was hurt a lot, so that'll give us an increased ability to get those guys reps too.
How's Davison looking so far?
Great. He's looking fantastic. He gets his hands on a lot of balls. He competes. He's got a mental toughness to him. Very pleased to have him here.
To the point of what you were talking about with the Nichols and maybe using some corners in there, Jair Brown, maybe somebody.
Jair Brown, and Ryan. So all those guys that are, maybe a second or third corner. I think as many reps as we can get them at nickel helps us be ready for all the things we can have and get them playing time and be ready for all the things that can happen during the season too.
Jim, just observing, it looks like Josh Proctor's come on, this spring. What are you seeing out of him? Do you see a renewed resolve, or what do you
Yeah, I'm seeing, a focus, a determination. Josh is a really great kid to be around, and he's I think become extremely serious this spring. He knows it's his chance. He's running out of time. We can point out the things that have happened to him in the past. We can teach from it, and he's got to do it in practice. That's the only time he can do it, and he is. Just watch him how he pursues the ball and the angles. Those are invaluable reps. Because something bad happens, that guy has to make the tackle. We didn't do that all the time last year, and I think he's focused on that you don't have to tackle, just being in the right position all the time. So yeah, I'm seeing some good things from him.
Did he kind of get lost last year? How would you describe that fall?
Yeah, I felt like with the transition, and he had some nagging injuries that I think held back his reps early, and I feel like when you come in with a new program that on defense, that in order for me to develop that confidence and faith, guys got to play a lot. They got to play a lot in practice, and he missed some reps and just kind of set him behind.
Jim, it looked like on Saturday that Proctor was at the adjuster and Lathan was at the bandit. Is that how you see them kind of long term, or is that just a one-day thing, just sort of positionally? How do they?
No, I think that's the way. That's the way we've been working it. I think it puts them to play to their strengths. It puts Josh in the middle of the field more. It allows Lathan to be the drop-down run defender more, and Josh can do it too. But we're just trying to play to their strengths, and then you have Sonny, who I think is over there with Lathan, doing a great job, and I think we'll be much better there this year.
How do you see Sonny? Because you mentioned earlier in the spring, you got to find something for Sonny to do, but Lathan is kind of your only returning starter. If he's in that bandit spot, it would seem that maybe he's blocking some of the opportunities that Sonny might have. So how do you kind of work around that?
Yeah, well, we have to, we're going to get him in, but I think when you start out, you have to establish depth. You got to establish competition. We need to be better as a defense, and I think everybody needs to feel that competition. So having Sonny there right now establishes a nice competition with him and Lathan. And then ultimately, you're right. We think they both can play, and then it's my job to find a way to get them both on the field.
Jim, every situation is different, but can you just talk us through how you generally view it or handle it when you have a young guy who's talented, has skills, but is learning his way, and maybe you have more veteran players who just have been around and are a little more reliable? How do you balance that? What does the younger player have to show you to be trusted? Is that difficult? Is it easy? How do you handle it?
You have to start in base defense. You have to, take that young, promising player, and he's got to win with the twos, right? You have to show that, number one, you can dominate with the twos, right? Start there. Okay, you show us you can dominate with the twos. Now we can start to mix you with the ones, and you show you hold your own with the ones. Now it's up to me to create more positions and opportunities for you. But you got to win. You got to kick ass with the twos first, you know. And I think let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's win all those reps first.
Year one to year two, has there been any noticeable difference in how fast the players are playing now that they've had a year to adjust to the scheme, to learn it?
Yes, particularly in the back end. We're getting our more hands on more balls. We're competing. This is, you know, a great offense, and we did not do our job in those matchup games that we needed to. And in order to get better, we have to win against our offense. We have to compete. We have to fight. I mean, we can't just say, well, Marv's a great player. He's the best player, so he beat us. No, because that's who we're going to face when we get into the matchup games. So we have to win in practice. So what I'm pushing and what I'm seeing is our guys who are fighting more at, you know, the point of emphasis where you have to make the play, you know, and we're getting our hands on a lot more balls, and that's noticeable.
Jim, do you tell them that, the young guys, go kick ass with the twos, or do they just have to realize it?
No. I mean, we want to breed that anywhere, ones, twos, or threes. But when you get a guy who's kind of on the cusp, and you have those individual talks with him, you know, you say, okay, first let's dominate on the twos, you know, and then we'll start sprinkling you in with the ones. So those are more individual conversations.
Does the spring give you enough time to figure out what you want to do with Sonny?
No, I think we want to go all the way through fall camp with him because, you know, in spring you're really working on the basics, making sure that he and everyone else has a mastery of the base defense, and then when you get more schemey as you go into camp, and you know if he or anyone else has proven themselves in the spring and the beginning of camp, now you can start to, you know, use more creativity to build a spot for him.
Gabe had a good scrimmage from what we saw. He was making some plays in the red zone. How have you seen him progress this spring? Look like he was with the leaders over there.
Gabe's getting better. I mean, he's establishing, you know, that respect from his teammates. He, you know, we're encouraging him to compete. He's getting better with his hands and his feet. He's improving, you know, and expectations are high for him, so I'm staying after him.
You came in at a time where, you know, previously this system used 3 linebackers. You come in, you go down to 2 linebackers. Has that created any sort of awkwardness in this sort of transition years at the start of this new defense, or is it just creating competition?
I amongst the linebackers?
Yeah.
You know, no, I think it's just created competition. I mean, I think that speaks for itself. I mean, I think Tommy and Steele, the numbers they put up last year, what they did, the improvement they made, and Cody now being able to, you know, play in that one role. He's having a great spring. So I think it just created competition. I mean, where the issues come are really with the nickel position, right? I mean, that to me is when you it's the nickel position, and that's why we're playing more corners there to get more depth at that position.
This has probably been established, but Laurinaitis' acumen at linebacker, is he in essence the linebacker coach and enables you to see the whole?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a pro. That's an All-American. He's level-headed. You know, it allows me to do a lot more in terms of the defense and other positions and spend more time being creative. And plus, he's a really nice guy, so we can play good cop, bad cop with the linebackers. He's a really nice guy. I'm not so nice.
What stands out about Cam Martinez at the nickel spot?
Man, he's got great feet. Cam has excellent feet. Reminds me of a guy I had at Duke, Michael Carter, who's in the NFL. Doesn't have to be big. He's got great feet. With Cam, it's just all about confidence, right? It's establishing that confidence. You know, playing against Marv in the slot sometimes. You know, that's great for Cam. You know, he just has to establish confidence. He's got all the tools, but his feet are great.
Are you seeing that confidence grow?
Absolutely, I'm seeing him getting better every day.
How does Jihad Carter factor into that?
Yeah, so Jihad, he's playing nickel right now, and doing great. I think he is going to have a continued role at all 3 safety positions when it ultimately comes down to becoming game ready. He's extremely coachable. Like if he, you know, being new here, if he makes a mistake, you can get him on the sideline in practice and he goes out and fixes it the next play. Not all guys can do that. So that shows you a guy who has experience. He's competing at nickel, doing a really good job, but I think he's headsy enough to play any of those safety positions for us.
How does he handle? Because I think he started at Syracuse. It looks like I don't know if he's with the twos or between the ones and the twos right now. Like obviously there has to be an adjustment for him. How do you see him handle that?
I mean, he doesn't. He puts his head down and works. IGB and Jihad, those are quality. You come into a situation, I'm sure they could have gone other places where people were promising them the world. We just promised them that we would make them better and they would make us better. And that's what they did. I have not heard a single word out of those guys that's not positive and team-oriented.
What do you need to see from, whether it be Cameron or Jihad, to feel like one of those guys can lock down that nickel safety spot? It comes over the course of time, right? I mean, when you get those matchups in the slot and you see that you are consistently winning, and and you're watching their feet and everything, because sometimes balls aren't, so you're watching everything. It's just repetition after repetition after repetition, and then they develop confidence and we develop confidence.
How much are you teaching James still this defense? Because he talked early on about he's learning something different.
Yeah, sure. I mean, my job is to continue to educate, all the coaches, young or old, in our system. But James, he knows so much from playing in the NFL. It has not been that big a deal. Every now and then we'll exchange, some words, or he'll ask a question. But he's really picked things up extremely quick. He's a professional.
Gentlemen, there's such an emphasis on teaching the fundamentals in the spring. Can you sort of put into words and describe what a clean, safe, fundamental tackle looks like?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't involve your head. That's number one. You're not dropping your head. You're keeping your head out of the tackle. You're in good position, right? So unless it's in the middle of in between the tackles, rarely are you going to be head up on a guy, where you're just kind of thudding him up and butting him up and wrapping. That's not going to happen. Everything in football happens on the angles, right? So if you're in good position and you're on the right hip and your head's in the right place, you're not out of control, right? Or, horse collaring or grabbing a guy's jersey. You're just staying on track and on course and wrapping up, and it's crisp, it's clean.
Right, and over the past 10 years in the Big Ten, approximately 65% of drives where there's been a targeting call has gone on to score a touchdown. That offense has. How big of a momentum shift is that in the course of a game if there's a targeting call on your defense?
I think that's huge. I mean, you don't want to limit guys' aggressiveness, but you do want to teach. You want to teach, right? You're always teaching. So I think we're not going to ever, whether it's live or not, lay out our own offense, no matter what. So, but we can show them, that play and how they're coming over and point it out, like, hey, this is a possibility for a targeting here, so let's make sure we aim, from the knees to the numbers right here.
Jack Sawyer said, he's feeling more comfortable playing that defensive end spot. Have you seen that from him this spring, him being more comfortable playing one spot?
Yeah, Jack is getting better every day. It's really, I think that move and staying out of that package this spring has been really good for Jack. He gets to focus on the fundamentals with Coach Johnson, and I really like his progress with him on one end and JT on the other. I think we got a great pair to start out with, and I'm going to bring that package back, but I'm really targeting Mitchell Melton. I was really high on him last spring until he got hurt. I thought he was a linebacker, D-line. I think he's got a great combination. And, come fall, I want to look at CJ too, because CJ is a guy who has such great athletic ability and speed. I think if I can direct him more and not have him read as much but attack more, I think he can be a real threat too at that position. So those are two guys I want to look at for that package.
Can you talk about CJ's coverability? It seems like he matches up well, at least coming out of high school, matched up well against tight ends, running backs out of the backfield.
Yes, he can cover. I mean, CJ can really do whatever he sets his mind to. He is that good of an athlete. So we are continuing to work with him on, the basic fundamentals of being a linebacker in a 4-2 scheme, right? That's different than being an outside linebacker or a rush end. So he's learning, getting better every day. But to your point, I think we can target him other places too.
How is that different in terms of the linebacker? What are some of the kind
It's 100. Yeah, I mean, you have to, in our system, those two linebackers, if you watch, they did everything. I mean, they're inside, they're outside, they're covering tight ends, they're blitzing, they're shifted one way or another. I think that's our advantage. So there's really a lot to those two positions, and it's just a lot to learn, And I think coming out of high school, it is a hard transition.
How fundamental of a component is the jack position for you? Like, is it a non-negotiable? It has to be some part of what you do, or at a place like Ohio State where you can get highest caliber of athlete, you get the traditional 4-down ends, you're not operating at a talent disadvantage most weeks. Can you envision a world where maybe you transition to not having that position anymore?
Yeah, nothing is non-negotiable at the Ohio State. My job is to get a defense that wins, and so whatever's best, that's what we're going to do. So to your point, absolutely. I mean, we're recruited for a 4-down. We got the best D-line coach in the country. It's not what I want, it's what works. We're going to continue to experiment with it, and if it catches fire with a guy like Mitch or CJ, and I think it's good in recruiting, like I said, because we can show things to guys, where we can match them up against different people. So I think it's always good to have in the arsenal, but we're ultimately going to do what's best for the team and the defense.
Do you ever envision a scenario where this isn't a program that recruits 4-down, that the recruiting takes, I guess, more of what you've done traditionally, the vision of what you've done traditionally, as opposed to what Ohio State has done traditionally?
I can't see that, not with Coach Johnson here, because he's the best, he's the GOAT. So I can see I can see us always going for 4-down. But you can get one of those guys who really enjoys that. Possibly, hey, I'm going to learn how to be an NFL pass rusher off the edge, but you know what, Coach Knowles might move me around a little bit. I mean, I think it creates ideas for guys.
Ryan was telling us last week about title switch for Tim and how that's bringing the corners and safeties together. What I guess was your input in that decision? Why did you guys decide that was?
Well, I think you can get segmented a lot at this level when you have a variety of great coaches and positions, and I think there are times you don't want to get segmented, right? You want people to hear one voice or somebody to bring it all together, and so I think that's a great move with Tim.